All right. Are you introing the show or me?
Oh, you are. This is you're hosting this bad boy.
Okay.
I'm
Here I
here,
go
but I've
again.
heard the dark side had cookies.
Did you get a cookie?
No.
Welcome, everybody, to Disney with the Ducks. We are on episode 166, and you've got me, your host, Jodie B, with my really good friend, Lonnie G. How are you today, Lonnie G?
I'm doing well, Jodie B. It's not often that we have the two favorite ducks in one show by themselves. I mean, because you think about it, right? I mean, this is not me saying this. This is actual interviews, reviews, testimonies. It's always, Jodie B number one, Lonnie number two. This is number two, but number two. And then I think the third option was other ducks. So me and you, and then those other ducks. It's good that we have us on this time.
When it's a survey of two and they force you to answer you have to answer two questions, and it's who's your favorite, and they have to answer two of us, and it works for us. So
Yeah, I mean, it did say three. It was like Jodie B, Lonnie G, or other ducks. And you're one, I was two, and then other ducks finish a distant three.
oh, well, it's always entertaining when it's the two
Very
of us.
scientific. Very
It is.
scientific.
Yes,
Oh,
we won't tell you about our, plus or minus three. Isn't that always what they say on the when they do surveys and stuff? It's always plus and minus 3%. So
yeah,
sure, we'll go with that. Why not?
right.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Disney with the Ducks. And if you haven't yet, we invite you to join our Facebook page. Good conversations going on over there. We've had some interesting trips lately. We had a trip to Vero Beach we talked about. We had a trip with books and corn that we talked about. That was a fun little spin. We had Alani not long ago. So we've had some really cool trip reports and discussions in the not too distant past. And it's fun to hear everybody's responses. And after you go onto Facebook and join our group and interact with us, we also ask you to please go on your favorite podcast catcher of choice and give us a 5-star review. And we know we will on this one because it's the Lonnie G and Jodie B show.
Two favorite ducks, bringing it strong.
All right. So, Lonnie, we are here to talk all about your very recent trip. For those of you who do not know, it is May 2025. And Lonnie G, where were you a mere 3 days ago?
3 days ago, yeah. It was Tuesday, May the 6th.
All right.
Which is, of course, May the 6th. So it is a sit holiday, right? I mean, you got May the 4th. That's what got a holiday. But May the 6th is the actual Sith holiday. So yeah, I was at the final Star Wars night at Disneyland, California.
Woo woo! So
Mm-hmm.
you heard that right, everybody. Lonnie G was out in California, got to go to one of the Disneyland events out there for the final Star Wars night. Now, how many of these events did they have? Not too many, right?
Not too many. I think they might have had maybe 10 to 12 nights total throughout April. And like I said, this was the last one I went to was May the 6th. So yeah, not a lot of them, but this was the season of the Force. So as you know, there's a whole section there that the park basically transforms to do all kind of Star Wars things in Disneyland, right? And that really kind of comes to a head on May the 4th, but 6th would be this last event, which was pretty cool.
And this is a hard ticketed event, right? So this is something that you have to buy a special ticket for, kind of like the Halloween and Christmas parties.
Exactly. So it's a hard ticket event. And Jodie B, people say, Lonnie, why did you go to this event? And I said, it's a very good question. The answer is simply this. We know amongst the ducks, the number one Star Wars knowledgeable person is Kevin. Everybody knows that. I mean, he knows everything about Star Wars. For a long time, Gene said, well, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan. And I told him, no, not now. Because if you look at it now, I am the biggest Star Wars fan, proven to him because I went to this event here in Disneyland, and I also went to one many moons ago at Disney World. So you put both of those together, and I am the ultimate Star Wars fan. Kevin's the most knowledgeable. Gene is, I don't know, I guess he's just a casual fan.
And weren't you the one who discovered the Star Wars race that happened, and you brought Gene into that? So
exactly. So once again, and that's a good memory. I didn't want to put that out there. Once again, I think this just solidifies the point. Your point just made it as well. I brought him on with the Star Wars Dark Side. Oh, by the way, I did the coast to coast with both Star Wars races. So I did the Kessel Run, and now I can say I did both of these events. So I say all that to say, in your face, Gene, in your face.
Oh, we love you, Gene. We do. We love you. Okay, so
love to say in your face, Gene.
May the 4th was on a Sunday this year, and but May the 6th was a Tuesday. So you went out to California. Did you go to the parks at any other time, or did you only go just for this event?
Well, in the parks, no. However, I did go to downtown Disney to eat. Went over to Din Tao Fong, which is in Disney, downtown Disney. And look, it didn't have it there when we went for our coast to coast a couple of years ago. Phenomenal restaurant. I mean, I would highly recommend it. We got there, and this was even for lunch, and they're like, hey, we have a 45, 50-minute wait. At lunch, there are no reservations available, and we tried many moons ago to get them. However, they did say, hey, if you don't mind, you can sit at the bar, and we have some seating at the bar. And I was like, sure, I'll sit at the bar. And they actually had to call the bar and then walk us in and put us at a seat at the bar. So it's not even, you can't even just go in there and sit at the bar. Wow. When we came out for meeting, they had people that were still in line, still out there. Right. Oh, wow. So it is, I mean, but for the wait, it's worth it. It's a very good restaurant.
I've heard really good things about it. So that's good to hear that you had a good experience there. So
yeah, service was good. Food was good. All around, great restaurant.
Awesome. All right. So on Tuesday the 6th, this was your big event. What time were you allowed to enter the park, and which park did you enter?
So you're allowed to enter the park at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Right. The event doesn't start till 9, but we were beginning at 6. The good thing about that is, of course, there's a section, and this is in Disneyland, right? So there's a section that you can go to just to go in for the special event tickets. Went through there. The line moved relatively quickly. Was in the park, had my lanyard and my event guide within 15 minutes. So I got there around 6. Was through the gate at 6:15.
Awesome. And how far in advance did you purchase these tickets?
Cool. It was a little while ago. I was looking at my schedule, and I was like, hey, I got some time that I'll be in California. And I just so happened to be in Anaheim. I'm like, you know what? Let me go back and check. I checked, and some tickets were still available, so I signed up for them. Okay. So
that's a good move. Good move.
Mm-hmm. All right. Forward thinking, Jodie B. That's what I like to think. Forward thinking.
I know. So 6 o'clock p.m. event doesn't start till 9. So what did you do from 6 till 9?
So first thing, went to the park.
And just for clarity, in California, their Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is located in which park?
It's in Disneyland. So it's actually Disneyland. So there's California Adventure, and that's Disneyland. It's actually in Disneyland. So went to the park, and the first thing I wanted to do was look for this Death Star popcorn bucket that you may have seen on the Instagrams and the InstaWebs and in a space book, all that kind of good stuff. So went over there and looked for that. So went to one spot, and they're like, no, you may want to check this other spot over in Future World. So walked over to Future World, and it's like, no, we haven't had them. They sold out. It's been 2 months. You may want to try in Galaxy's Edge. Go to Galaxy's Edge. There's like, man, those things been gone. So basically, in a nutshell, couldn't find that. Right, I struck out on that. There was a Tauntaun bucket, but I didn't want that one. I really wanted that Death Star one. So yeah.
And why settle? If it's not what you wanted, don't get it.
Yeah, and it had it had a Stormtrooper one too, but I was like, I really wanted that Death Star. I'm not gonna settle. So missed out on that one. I think that's a big miss for Disney as well, because apparently it was super popular and it had sold out so fast. They could have probably made another 1,000 of those things. It was sold out just as fast, especially when you think about coming up on Star Wars Day.
Yeah, I don't understand their supply chain thinking. I mean, I know that they don't want to have too much stuff,
Mhm.
but oh, anyway. Okay, so you ran all over the place looking for a popcorn bucket, struck
Mhm.
out on that,
Yeah.
but
So I ended up getting the popcorn. Just
you ended up getting what? I'm
have,
sorry, you cut out
so I
a
ended up
minute.
getting yeah. I ended up just getting popcorn. No bucket, just a regular popcorn, and that's what I did.
And did you wash your hands before you enjoyed that popcorn?
I did. It's funny you mentioned that because we all know what happens if you don't wash your hands and eat the popcorn. So washed my hands, ate the popcorn, and then headed over to Haunted Mansion.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, because remember the last time I wrote it was the Nightmare Before Christmas version. I
Mhm.
wanted to see the regular version.
And what
Right, so
did
it's
you
my
think?
first time riding the regular version. A lot longer than Disney World, but it's really, really good. Really enjoyed it.
Good,
Mhm.
good.
So to show you, like from a time perspective, walked to the park, got in there, and to show you how Disney World is kind of set up, or Disneyland, I should say. Walked around the popcorn, all that stuff. Still was in line at Haunted Mansion at 6:34, and went right in to ride it.
That's insane.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
All right. So did you do any other rides after Haunted Mansion, or did you just get ready for the Star Wars event?
No, popped out there and went to Pirates of the Caribbean, which
Oh,
once again is really long compared to ours, right? So did that, and then went over to my favorite spot, which was the corn dog stand. But the reason I went to the corn dog stand, and this, Jodie B, this will get you. So after Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, right, walked over to Blue Bayou and said, "Hey, there are no reservations. Can I, come in and eat?" And it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the park's gonna close, early, so we're not taking any more people walk-ins. I'm so sorry, friends." So once again, struck out on the Monte Cristo. I'm sitting there, so I'm looking at people in there eating, and I'm like outside looking in, like my face pressed against the glass, just really, really not happy. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe if I went over there straight, I could have got in, but I didn't. And once again, Lonnie,
I mean, I just think that Blue Bayou doesn't like us. Blue Bayou doesn't like ducks.
yeah. So then I went to get a corn dog. Now the funny thing about it as well, and this will get you, is that a lot of some of the restaurants, a good bit of them, started closing down early. So, but there's this gap in time because that's the event then started at 9 that you really couldn't do anything.
Oh,
So literally, I'm in there like, all right, so you could ride rides, you can do that kind of stuff, but if you want a sit down restaurant, pretty hard to find one.
yeah. I feel like that's a problem with Walt Disney World too for hard ticket events. The meal eating and timing, you've got to be really careful about because if you show up at one of those and you haven't had any substantial real food, you may find yourself in a pickle. No pun intended with the food talk. So, um, it's one of those. It's probably smart that you did eat when you did because there may not been much opportunity later.
Yeah, you're right. So, and even though they have the special menu that they had in the event guide, I was like, I went to a little place to grab some fish and chips, right? And they're like, "Sorry, that we can't sell that. That doesn't start till 8:15." Is it? So literally, I mean, they're like, "It's 7." It's like, "Yeah, but we're not going to start cooking that to 8:15 or serving it." I'm sorry, 9:15. 9:15. So they're like, since it started at 9, yeah, it's 8. You're not getting into 9:15. So I'm like, all right, then. So that led to like I said, the corn dog. And then I went over to Big Thunder Railway and rode
Oh,
Big Thunder.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's one of my
Yeah.
faves. Well,
Oh, yeah.
good.
So got a chance to do that as well. And then, it's started kind of, things started to really fire up. You see a lot of people coming in dressed up in their Star Wars attire, all that kind of good stuff. So I
And we know
decided,
how you loved a costume, so I'm totally completely assuming that you are costumed from head to toe.
yeah, no, but they had a lot of people that really, really were. I mean, they took this really serious. Right. So they did. Just like this is the last one. We're gonna make it happen. I mean, I had some Darth Mauls. I had, a
Wow.
bunch of Mandalorians. I mean, they took it really serious. A lot of Stormtrooper stuff. They're pretty strong.
Wow. I mean, good. That's not commitment. Good for them. Okay. What was included with your ticket for this event?
Just stuff. There are no, of course, you had a special menu and things of that nature, but you know how some of the after hour events you have free popcorn, ice cream, and all that. This event didn't have any of that.
Okay.
So it's basically you just have access to the Star Wars things and the light shows and all that kind of good stuff, but you don't have any uh, special snacks, things of that nature. You have merch you can buy, but other than, like the free ice cream and drinks and all that kind of stuff at the regular after hours party, this one didn't include that.
Okay. All right. So what was your focus? Like what was your goal of this event? So you bought these tickets, you are a huge Star Wars fan, apparently, bigger than Gene.
Gene said, Gene.
So what was like on your must-do list for this event?
Well, there was a special show that I wanted to see, projection show uh, over in Galaxy's Edge on the Spires. I wanted to see that. Also wanted to see as many characters as possible. I take pictures. I've been known to take a picture or two. Want to take a couple of pictures, but more honestly, going to this event, I just want to suck up all the Star Wars I could. Right. So it's one of the things. The true fan, the truest fan in this Ducks group, I think I owe it to myself to do just that.
All right. So what was the first thing that you did once the party officially started at 9 o'clock?
Okay, so went to Galaxy's Edge for another walkthrough. Now this was a crazy thing. The first light show was like I think 9:30. I got back there at around 9. It was closed, right? So they said it's already packed. It's too many people standing here. There's another show at 12:30. So you'd have to come back at 12:30 on to see it. So I'm like 9:30, I had to come back at 12:30. All right, then. So yeah. So, and she said, and I talked to a cast member. She's like, and I recommend you come 45 minutes earlier than that. I'm like, wow, okay, well, that's how we rolling, right? So yeah, went to see the show, and they told me we couldn't stand there. And I was like, all right, so I'm just gonna roll around the rest of Galaxy's Edge and kind of see what I can see because packed. The part of the park were kind of empty. So as I'm walking through, Rise of the Resistance had no wait. Wow. So I literally walked straight through the queue onto the shuttle for Rise of the Resistance.
That's really cool.
And guess what? Contrary to what some people, Gene says, it did not break down. So I rode Rise of the Resistance.
With no flaws and no breakdowns.
No flaws. It was perfect. Even my car wasn't full because usually you have the little escape car. It's kind of packed. It wasn't. We had some room next to us. It was actually pretty good. It was a very enjoyable ride.
Wow, that's really fun. Okay,
yeah,
so didn't get to see the light show at 9:30, but ended up going to walk on Rise. So that's not a bad trade-off.
Not a bad trade-off at all, right? So I'm like, okay, I got Rise under my belt. That's good. I say now let me start around with characters they have. They literally had, like before that, character stands set up, but they had cast members there blocking you, so you couldn't even take a picture of that. You had to wait until it started. I guess they didn't want regular people or people that didn't have park tickets to take a picture. And I will say this as well, something that they did very well here. The last after-hours show that I went to, our event, was in Disney World, and it was at Hollywood Studios. And I remember saying, you know what, this was not good as much as it could have been because it was packed and people who didn't have event tickets were just moseying around. You can tell they couldn't go on any rides, but they were still in the park. So much so that it kind of blocked you from going other places. Disneyland did a great job of clearing people out. So much so, I went to before I was going to into one section. And the guy actually said, this is after my corn dog, I was going in to wash my hands, and a guy actually said, I need to see your wristband, sir. So even to get into the bathroom and wash your hands. So they were literally blocking people. And then I walked a little bit further, and they had a group of cast members, and they were all like in a row across a pathway. And they were like, okay, let's go. And they started walking to clear people out.
Wow.
So they were, as they caught somebody, you got to go this way, you got to leave. It's a special event. So it actually cleared out really quickly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, Obviously, this was a Star Wars event, so was everything only happening in the Galaxy's Edge portion of the park, or was the rest of the park open?
The rest of the park was open. The rides were open.
Oh,
They had picture spots throughout the park as well. It had a lot of stuff going on in Futureland as well, right?
yeah.
So it had a lot of stuff going. There were a bunch of dance parties. There was a DJ in front of the castle. There was a live band that was playing on the kind of like the little, you know, how they have the little lake part right there behind the castle. They had a live band playing there. The cantina, and then they had the cantina band on a raft, like a flotilla, flowing around the park as well on the waters playing. So it was really, I mean, you got your Star Wars feel in that bad boy.
That's really cool. I'm
Mhm.
glad because I kept thinking, like, how are they going to shove everyone in that one area? I mean, it's Galaxy's Edge isn't gigantic. It's not small, but I thought that, how many tickets are they going to sell if they're going to put everybody back there? But they didn't. They spread everybody out. That's a good idea. So
Oh yeah, and I mean the DJ was really rocking in front of the castle too. So a lot of people in front of the castle, just dancing.
it's
There's
cool.
a combination of, you know, really cool songs and then some Star Wars stuff mixed in there as well, and then remixes of the Star Wars stuff. So he was actually really good.
Good. All right. So you were off to go see characters, right? This was high
Mm-hmm.
priority for you. Okay.
Yeah, just take
So
pictures. I started taking pictures after that.
tell me some of the highlights there. Who did you get to see?
I think my favorite was now the Ewoks had like an hour wait, which was crazy, but the Jawas had like a 20-minute wait. So went to the Jawas. You know, I had the little lanyard on. He grabbed my lanyard. He was playing with it. He kept, pointing at it. He was trying to take it from me. So I saw the Jawas, and then they had these photo backdrops all over the place. And then they had the robots like R2D2. You know, they're kind of spread out as well that you can go and do selfies with them. So I just started walking around the parks in different areas, seeing what they had, just to take it all in. So I'll pull out my map and say, oh, let me walk over here and see what they have. And sure enough, there's a ride over there. I might have hopped on it.
Cool. Awesome. So what was the most surprising thing to you at this event that you weren't expecting or anticipating that surprised you?
Hmm. I think it was really organized well, and you shouldn't be surprised with that, right? I mean, it's Disney; they're really good at organizing. But I think the way they kind of funneled people around through the park and how they had different things stationed around to kind of keep the crowd separated a little bit, that was pretty cool how they did that. And the fact, that they did have minimal to no wait for a lot of rides. However, after rides, when I got off it, looked like everybody came from Galaxy's Edge, or they're already in Galaxy's Edge, but finished the light show. So they came straight over there. So then they had a long line for rides. Right. So when I got out, the line was like back out to a regular queue. So I'm like, wow. So they should have went earlier like I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. So if you can, so I guess my thing I would say is if you can last the whole time and wait to the last show or wait till 12:30, don't go to that first show. Wait, because you can do a lot of things where everybody's back there in Galaxy's Edge. You have basically the rest of the park to yourself. And I really did. It wasn't a lot of people. So I was just flowing around different areas of the park.
So you got there at 6.
Mhm.
Party officially started at 9. What time did the party end? What was the stop time of the party?
Well, the last show is at 12:30. So I think it's at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
But when I was leaving out and I left out after the last show, people were still walking into Galaxy's Edge. So I'm like, where are they going? But people just was hanging out, right? I guess they're like, we don't want to leave. It's the last Star Wars. We got to wait till next year. So you know, that was my Gene whining voice. I don't want to wait. I don't want to leave, but I don't want to go.
Okay, so what you walked around, you saw some characters. What else did you do?
Hey, I went back, got some fish and chips because I wanted some before, and they said, hey, you can't have it, right? So went back, got me some fish and chips, sitting there for a minute,
All right,
relax.
big thing here.
Mhm.
How are their fish and chips compared to Yorkshire Fish Company in England? Who has better fish and chips?
You know, uh, I'm gonna go with Disney World. Their fries are a little different over there. There's little small cut up like French fries. It was crazy. It's crazy. I asked him, I said, these are the fries? But so, in Disney World, we have the long fat fries, which I like, the steak fries kind of. So I will go with, Disney World just for that, just for the fries.
Okay.
The fish was about the same, or
But
almost.
so the fish was a specialty for Star Wars night?
Yes.
Okay.
So apparently it was in the guide that, and that's why when I went to try to buy it, they said, "Oh, you can't get that till 9:15."
Okay.
So
Again,
apparently fish and chips.
I'm not Kevin, and I'm
Mhm,
not you, and I am not Jean. I
mhm,
enjoy the Star Wars movies, but I am
mhm.
not. I'm not going to know the second cousin of the third brother who was in one spinoff 15 years ago.
Yeah, that'll be Kevin. Who knows
So
that?
tell me what does fish and chips have to do with Star Wars?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Nothing at all. But they had them there. I ate them. They were good. We'll call it a wrap.
Okay, good. All right,
Mhm.
yum.
Yeah.
I would eat it
Now
too.
I will say this though, to make it kind of Star Wars, when you open up the fish and chips, they had this little. I mean, and you had the tartar sauce. There are little like boba balls on top,
Oh,
and they had like a little green thing. So I guess try to make it more Star Warsy. Um, so yeah, I
okay.
guess that's what they did.
All right.
I don't know. Do the balls represent planets? We can say it does and tie it all in.
Yeah, we'll go with yeah.
Mhm.
Did you try any of the other specialty food items?
No, no. By that time, like I said, I already had the popcorn. I already had a corn dog. Then I got fish and chips. So I was at that point. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Drunk a lot of water because the good thing about this event was um, it was literally maybe 60 degrees when it started, dipped down to into the middle 50s.
Oh,
Um, that whole the whole time I was there in California, the weather was like overcast. Didn't rain, just was overcast the whole time, and kind of chilly, right? So yeah.
well, chili is good when you're wearing all the robes and all the, if you're going in character, the Star Wars costuming is not very light.
No, no. So yeah, so I think it was a good time for that because then they have to worry about sweating, having a space sweat or something. You
Yeah,
just
that wouldn't be good.
yeah.
Wouldn't be good. Okay, so what was another highlight of your evening? What else did you get to do?
Well, I continued to walk around the park a little bit after I came out of fish and chips. Went to take a couple more pictures, and that's when I walked over to Future World again. And I said, "Hey, I'm looking at the event guide, and it said, that Darth Vader is back here." And he said, "Yeah, just when you go in, and this was at Launch Bay, just make sure you go to the dark side because, of course, that is the best side. Go to the dark side, and Darth Vader's there." He said, "But I will tell you, right now it's about an hour and 10 minute wait to see Darth Vader." And I was like, "Yeah, it's 11 o'clock now, so I don't think Vader's going to see me. Just let him know I said hello. Tell him I stopped by." But
Peace out, Vader. Can't come and
yeah, I'm
see
like,
you.
I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, it was a long wait for
Wow. I mean, characters are cool, but that's a long wait to see him. I don't know.
him. Yeah.
Did you wait in any of the lines to see characters? We-
Each line I did for the Jawas. Um, each line for the backdrops, and of course, at the speeders and stuff like that. And pictures are included in the package.
Oh,
I should
okay.
say that. So all your PhotoPass photographers will take your picture with your phone or with their cameras, and those will download to the My Disney app for Disneyland. So yeah, so all the pictures were included. So that's I guess that's a big caveat for
That is cool. That's really cool. I mean, I,
it.
I think I really my opinion is I think Disney should, if you're staying on property and you're buying a package, you should get the photo passes either included or at a discounted rate. I mean, I just
Mhm.
think it's crazy that they want everyone to stay on property, have more incentive, give me something to stay on property, give me some more incentives. So,
Yeah. And a lot of the photographers said, "Do you know how to download your pictures? The pictures are included." So they
oh,
were asking as well. So they were kind of, touting that, hey, this is a benefit that you should have.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So night goes on. You've had a couple of your snacks. You're good to go. You've gone to see some different characters and cool pictures of the backdrops. Now what?
So after doing all that, I took another loop around the park once again just to see if I missed anything. The rides were still very minimal, right? So by this time, it's about 11:15, 11:20. I said, I think I better make my way just closer to Galaxy's Edge. So when it starts, I can kind of go in and get a good seat for the final show. So I kind of messed around, took a couple more pictures, went back to Futureland, walked by to Small World, all those places, just kind of roamed that whole area. I was free range that day, so I was free ranging, and then I kind of said, you know what, it's time for the Skywalker, excuse me, show. So let me roll myself back to the back, and I got a seat. I was there maybe 35 minutes before the show, so I got there right around 12:05. I was the fourth from the front.
Oh, that's awesome.
So because after the show, um, everybody, there's a part where you have to lift up your lightsabers and turn them on, right? So I was right amongst like all these people had lightsabers. I did not have a lightsaber, but hey, they turn them on around me, so I'll take it.
That's really cool. Okay, so talk about the show. So this was the one that they had at 9:30 and at 12:30.
Yes.
And what was the show called?
It's called Shadows of Memory. So it's kind of like you walking you through um, basically the 6 original movies, right? So it starts off with talking about Anakin and being part of the Force and this and that, and it kind of goes all the way through Return of the Jedi.
Okay, cool.
So it's a
And
quick show, only about 15 minutes.
was it just projections, or were there fireworks also, or?
Yeah, so it was just projections. And at that time, this was 12:30. Disneyland is in the middle of kind of like a residential area. So it wasn't expected a lot of fireworks because just by nature, they can't pop those bad boys. Somebody wakes up and open up their window, be like, get off my lawn, Disney. I'm trying to go to sleep. Keep it down over there. Right. So I didn't expect that, but the projection show was pretty good.
Okay. Are you glad that you stayed for it?
I am glad I stayed for it.
Good. All right.
My thought is if I'm going to go there and do all that, I'm going to take it all in as much as possible, which is what I was doing. So that's why I had to continually doing laps around the park, roaming, looking for different events because things were always changing up, always. So I just want to walk around and kind of catch it all in.
And I'm sure the people watching was just phenomenal.
The level of detail in some of these costumes was it'll rival the actual star from the movie. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, I would figure that there would just be next level costuming. So
yeah,
that's pretty.
Not Star Wars does it. I mean, not me because I didn't have a costume on because I'm not a nerd. But other than that, now look, I don't want to insult the 2 Star Wars fans that we have that are known to dress up, Kevin and Gene. I'm just saying, it's not my thing dressing up. They may dress up.
Oh, the people watching, I think, would probably be. I probably could just sit there and watch everybody walk by. It's a shame you weren't there 2 days earlier, though. You know who was there 2 days before you?
No, who?
The actor who plays Cassian Andor.
Mm-hmm.
He was there on May the 4th. I don't know his name. Know me. But aren't you proud that I even know that character?
I am very proud.
I've been trying to watch it. It's a little. Actually, Tim's not enjoying it, to be perfectly honest.
What?
Yeah, he's finding it slow, and because there's like 3 storylines going on, and I think anyway. We won't talk about it. We won't spoil it. So,
please tell Tim I'm not upset at him that he didn't like it. I'm just a little disappointed.
Yeah, the second season, that is. We're in the second season right now. So, okay. If you had the opportunity to do this again, would you go to this event again? Do you think it was worth the money?
Yes, I would go again. Would I change some of the things? Maybe I would go earlier to that first Star Wars projection show, so you don't have to stay to 12:30. But I think not going to that did allow me to ride more rides, right? So I did have that going for me. So yeah, but I will definitely do it again. I had a great time.
And do you think the value is there for the money? If you would you endorse this event for someone else to try?
So if you're a Star Wars fan, this is a must. Hence, we know who's the real fan. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you gotta go. You gotta go, right? But if if it's just another person in the park, you're not a big Star Wars fan, you wouldn't get any value out of it. This is for the true Star Wars fans.
Well, I'm glad that you got to go experience it all. Do you think they'd ever bring this to Walt Disney World?
It's they used to have it there. So I went to the last one that they had. Um, I can't remember the year. It was before the Great Unpleasantness, but I went to the last one there. My hope is they would bring it back. In fact, I think Star Wars celebrates the anniversary this year. So it'll be great if they kind of bring it back for that. And I would actually prefer that they would bring the Star Wars races in for springtime surprise as well next year, because they do change every year. So if they can bring Star Wars races back, since you're going to have a anniversary year, bring those races and incorporate them into the springtime surprise. I think that'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're not the only person who wants that.
Is anyone on his line running the springtime surprise?
I've never run springtime surprise, so I don't know.
Okay.
But the time of the year is always tough. It's right around our spring break and all that stuff. It's not a good time. But
Yeah.
anyway, one of these years I'll get around to it.
Yes, you need to.
All right. Anything else you want to share with everybody about your special trip and your, event?
No, I think, like I said, if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to go to it. I would say check out that restaurant that we went to, Din Tao Fong. If you're back there again, you definitely want to try that out. Maybe I can rally the troops together for one last Disneyland, I should say, run before the races go on hiatus. I would definitely get reservations for that.
Cool. Good.
And Jodie B, so every now and then there are some races that still pop up available in California. Are you a no-go for those races?
Yeah, it's the flight and the hotel and the everything else, the whole kit and caboodle that is a challenge for me right now. So
I totally understand, but it is fun though. It is fun.
it is fun, and I would, it's enticing, but I gotta stick to my guns and.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lonnie, that was awesome. Good to hear about your trip, and I just think it's really great that you got to experience this, because it was kind of a bonus for you to be able to go out there, being such the Star Wars fan that you are, and get to experience this. And I think hopefully they continue to do these on the West Coast, but they bring something like this over to the East Coast too, because I think they could have a couple of days out there and a couple of days on the East Coast also, and allow people a chance to experience on our side. Because getting to California is a challenge for some people. So
yeah, it's and you're right, but I think it's that would be awesome if they bring it back over. I don't know why they didn't come back, but they did away with those races as well, right? The Disney-inspired Run Disney Star Wars races, so they don't do those anymore either. So yeah, I would like them to come back.
Yeah, it'd be great. Well, but if you have a chance, per Lonnie, go out to California, try one of these events, because it's definitely worth it. So, and if you have any questions, of course, you can ask Lonnie, because he is now our expert on it. He's the one and only who's been out there.
One more time, Jodie, what did you say?
You are the expert, Lonnie G.
Oh, okay, good. You're fading out, so I was just waiting to hear.
All right. Well, now it's because the last couple of shows has just been me. I've been the only duck on the show, so I've been skipping over the favorite part, because it's really dad jokes. And when there were no other guys on the show, no dads, I thought, well, I'm not going to try to do a dad joke because I'm a mom. So now that we actually have two official ducks on the episode tonight, we're going to go back to it, and we are going to try to quack everybody up. So, Lonnie G, do you have an opportunity to quack everyone up?
Probably not, but I'm going to try my best because that's what I do. So, what did Han Solo say to the waiter who recommended the haddock?
What did Han Solo say? I don't know. What did Han Solo say?
He said, "Never sell me the cards."
That was good and on point. It was, very Well played. Well played, my friend.
It's what I do. The force is strong with me.
The force is strong with
Mhm,
you.
mhm,
So I had a super frustrating couple days with my computer, and I was having to change a bunch of passwords and all that stuff, which is just passwords are just a pain, right? So I was like, I got to come up with something simple that I can remember,
mhm.
but not too simple. So I changed my password to Kenny. So now all I have are Kenny logins.
Danger zone. Good one.
That was really stupid, but
Mhm.
best I could come up
Nope,
with.
nope, nope. I liked it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for this episode of Disney with the Ducks. As always, like I said, please try to join our Facebook group and ask any questions you may have about Lonnie's experience out in
Mhm.
California with what is, I can't even remember now. Seasons of the Force, is that what it was
Yeah, it
called?
was doing Season of Force, but this was Star Wars night.
Okay, Star Wars Night, Season
Mhm,
of the Force. So
mhm.
there we go. So I'm sure Lonnie would be happy to answer any of your questions. And with that, my friends, thanks for joining us.
Uh, Kwaharini.
Okay, that was funny.
I don't know what that was,
I don't either, but
but it did have a jazzy beat that you can dance to.
that's all we need.
Mhm.
No dancing. Okay.